Yeah, dude. Were you on the first one? Did you join the first one or not? Or did you disappear because I had some technical difficulties when I started? For example, like I don't even. Okay, the mic's working at least. You can hear me, right? Oh, yeah, okay, perfect. So you saw why I left, right? Is I didn't want to give people access to my API keys, right? Twitter. Yeah. Okay. So this is one thing I was discussing with the person who was originally in the videos with me. Uh, uh, the problem is like there's a lot. So first of all, there's a bunch of latency here. Even though I turned on the ultra low latency settings, I don't know what's going on. YouTube's not very good. I think part of it's also I'm in the probably the worst room for bandwidth in my condo, so I think that's also causing problems. I might move into a different room if I keep live streaming. But the biggest problem is like it's hard to live stream because you need all this context and coding. So like you're sitting here looking at all this mountain of code and you don't see what I did before, so you have no idea like what. So every time a new viewer jumps into the live stream, I have to re-explain myself in order for them to like understand what it is exactly I'm doing and why I'm in some specific piece of the code. So I feel like live streaming isn't that good for coding projects. Like I could see you maybe live streaming um, like competitive programming maybe because it's like obvious what problem the person's working on and like kind of what they're doing in the code. Even that it's a little bit hard to understand like why they're doing a tree traversal or something like that. So I probably won't do much live streaming anymore, even though it's fun for me, obviously, and I'm always working on side projects. But I doubt I'll keep doing it. Anyway, just to give you like an update, I guess, as to what I'm doing exactly. So I found. Let me pull this over here. I found this API, and the latency is so bad. I found this API and it returns Bible verses. And so I thought it would be fun to make a Twitter bot. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean the idea with my YouTube videos is that they'll be out weekly, and so it's just basically me dicking around with interesting projects every week. It's more useful though because it's like condensed into one small ordeal. So I don't know. Maybe I'll keep doing these every weekend. I don't know. Who knows? Um, but what I was saying is this API I found returns Bible verses, and so I decided like I was like maybe I could build a Twitter bot for this. Um, Actually, so I originally wanted a live stream. I'm working on another project that does outlier detection for flight prices, which I might do that depending on like what people are interested in. But I decided to kind of scrap that one because I was like in the middle of it and I didn't want to give all this context to people. But so I decided to do this instead just for this first like fun one because I knew I was gonna have all these technical difficulties when I live streamed. But the idea with this is like I'm gonna hit this API let's say every hour and then post to a Twitter bot account and it was just gonna post a random uh, Bible verse every hour, let's say. And I kind of wanted to see how much engagement this Twitter bot would get if it was just randomly posting Bible verses every hour. And then after I did that, I thought, I wonder what it would be interesting is if you built a Twitter bot for each religion and had it do this every hour, which religion was going to have the most followers. I would imagine it would be Christianity just because Twitter is kind of a Western social media platform, so it's obviously biased. But I have seen like a bunch of Muslim people on Twitter as well, so I was like, maybe Islam might give Christianity a run for its money in terms of like followers and things like that. So that was the general idea. Is like I was gonna do this and then also do a little bit of black hat growth hacking after I build the Twitter bot to like have it start following other Christian Twitter users and see just like how big could I grow this bot basically. So right now is what I'm doing is I'm coding that get bought up. And I got to the point. Yeah, basically. It's kind of, it's just more, this is mostly for fun, right? The outlier price detection thing was a business idea. What I was thinking about that was basically I could there's an existing business out there called Scott's Cheap Flights. If you haven't heard of it before, I'd recommend checking it out. Anyway, Scott's Cheap Flights, the guys go and find cheap flights for people. And I was listening to a podcast where he was discussing like how much time goes into finding the flights, how to find these super cheap flights, and how some of the cheap flights are actually like the algorithms for Delta, for example, might have an error in them and they might drop a zero or something like that, right? And price a flight way cheaper than they should. And there's these government regulations such that you can't, they have to honor the flight once they put it on the website. And so I was thinking, like, if he could take some of the work that his company is doing and like use machine learning to automate some of the finding of his outliers, like that would make his business more efficient and he'd make more money. But then I started thinking more about it. I was like, well, technically I could do that. I could just like have an outlier detection algorithm myself and dump these to a mailing list and then let people subscribe to the mailing list. So I started working on that. I got kind of far with it. The API I'm using is not that good, so I tried to get a better API key and they denied my API access because I think because I'm small potatoes compared to a lot of people. Like, they're going for big business people, like, you know, Expedia and things like that. And obviously I'm not that, so they denied my API access key. So I'll have to go back to using the old one and see if I can make that one work. One thing I thought was interesting is like there's not a lot of flight-related APIs. There were a bunch, like maybe 5 years ago, but they all went away, and I'm wondering why. Because like even that I think could be a business in and of itself, doing like flight data aggregation. Like if you could have a price API feed for like regular developers to use, I think you might be able to make quite a bit of money from that. But that's a whole different problem in itself. And I was like, I don't have time. Like for me, finding a useful business to create is often like I have time constraints because I have a full-time job, and so I have to figure out businesses that I can run and start without a lot of my development time effectively. So that was what I was one project. I can certainly go back to working on that one again, live streaming that one, which I probably will eventually, but this one was smaller and I knew I was going to have all these problems getting started, and so I did this one instead. So this one basically, where we left off at the end was I had just finished up generating the random verses in Python, and then I was like, okay, well, yeah, right, exactly. I was thinking I'll just now that I have these random verses, let's we have to like actually make the post on Twitter, right? And so once I got to that point, I was like, well, Twitter probably doesn't want me giving out my API keys to everybody, and so I quickly logged off. I've got my API keys sitting in this Python file right here, and you can see I'm just grabbing them out of the file in order to create the API object, the Twitter API object. And then I did a quick test to get all my tweets to make sure that my keys were valid and I could hit the APIs and everything like that. But for now, let's comment this out and then just like run the get verse that I'd written previously. So basically the way the verse creation works is I've got all the books and the chapters of the Bible sitting in this little JSON object. And I'm just basically grabbing a random book out of that dictionary. Because if you look back at this guy's API, you'll see that what he takes is a book name and a chapter and a verse. And if you watched the previous live stream when I very first started, I was just like messing around using curl. So if you're not familiar with curl, let's actually just do that really quickly. You can make API requests. His API is not that good. You can make API requests directly from the command line. So I was just like playing around with this API. What I found out is like you don't actually have to pass this verse. And so all I have is a list here in Python, or the dictionary of book names to like the number of chapters, because I need to actually pass the chapter in the API request right here. And so what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing a random book, and then I'm grabbing a random chapter out of that book, and then eventually when I'll make a request to his API. If you make a request using the book and the chapter, it gives you back a bunch of verses, and then I'm just grabbing a random verse out of that. And if you see what the output is, if we actually run this, what happened? It's great, I broke it in between the time that it must be this Python code that they've written. What is it? What did I do? It's definitely valid syntax. This is one thing I don't like about Python. I need what I should be doing is using a Python IDE so that I was highlight syntax errors, right? But I'm too lazy to set all that stuff up, so what about if we just do this? Because I know this has worked previously. What the heck? Oh, it was running Python 2. Stupid. Such a stupid mistake. Okay, back to where we were. Oh man, I lost my... Alright, well, luckily they've got this code sitting in GitHub. So I can just copy paste it back in. But yeah, so the problem was I was using Python 3 syntax, and when I was running the command, it was using Python 2. So you can't do this string interpolation stuff in Python 2, I'm guessing. Yeah, the previous person that was logged into the stream I was trying to figure out how to make it so that I could also like show you what I'm Googling, because I was saying I think it's useful not only to see like all the problems that I run into, but also all the stuff that I Google and how often I Google and things like that. So I think that's why I wanted to do live streaming, is to show you like everybody's always Googling and running into these stupid mistakes. I ran into another one before where I was like using string interpolation with the dictionary, and you can see here I have to double quote. So usually I like to use the single quotes when I'm checking stuff in Python when I'm doing strings. Anyway. Okay, so we got the verse. I already showed you how to do that. And then here's just some code from the Twitter GitHub, right, that shows you how to do the interaction with their API. Because I wanted to test, like I said, I wanted to make sure like my keys were valid before I like turn the live stream back on, because I didn't want to have to debug my keys and then inadvertently show them to the entire of the internet and then have to request new keys and all this stuff. So I quickly just took one of their little methods, and I didn't even look at it. I don't even know what the code's doing. I just know that they're getting all the tweets associated with my account. So if I run it, so that's the verse that you can see the verse that we generated up here. Where is it? Right here. Right. So this is ideally what my bot would tweet every hour, let's say. And then you can see here that it's just like pulling in all of my tweets from the past, basically. For example, my most recent tweet was about how I had to end my live stream in order to hide the API keys. So now that we're in this state where I can like actually interact with the Twitter API, and I know that I can interact with the Twitter API, I looked and they've got some other code to show you how to do tweets, which is actually pretty simple thing. It looked like it's just calling post update on the API with the message. Yeah, I actually started creating the Twitter account in the previous live stream, and then I was like, I don't know what to call the Twitter account yet, so I kind of like put it off, and I was like, I'll just use my personal account. But then I made sure to tweet to everybody and say, like, by the way, I'm gonna be testing out a Twitter bot. So please don't get mad at me for tweeting Christian stuff. But eventually, yeah, I'll create an account specifically for this. But post a survey for which? For the I thought about posting a poll to see like if I should work on the flight detection stuff or if I should work on this Twitter bot, but there's like hardly anybody watching, so I was like, I'll just do whatever I want. Oh, for the name of the bot. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. Let me make a note so I don't forget. That's actually how I got the name of the YouTube series, Console. I asked on Twitter, and somebody was like, brought that name up, and I was like, dude, that is a good name. I'm wondering if, given this key, I can get tweets from anybody just by passing this different name. So let me just find somebody that I can scrape the tweets from. CDC. CDC is coming up as a recommended follow, so let's see if I can get their tweets or if it's just my personal tweets that I can get. And let's actually comment out this stuff for now. Oh, interesting. So this implementation must do some sort of like pagination. And it must be the case that like I have so few tweets that they can all fit in one page, basically. Interesting. So yeah, I could literally get anybody's tweets. That's very interesting. The reason I say that's interesting is I had I created this Twitter account like 3 years ago when I was still in college, and we needed it for a project. And then I tried to do this again. So another idea, a business idea I had is there's a project called Meet Edgar that does like social media, like automated social media management. And so I thought of like building a competitor for them because they seemed kind of pricey. And also I just thought for myself, I was like, that would be a useful thing that I would probably use. But anyway, I tried to create a developer account back then, and Twitter has like really locked it down compared to like 3 years ago. I think because social media is under so much regulatory scrutiny that they're very worried. So I'm surprised that like this API key is so, it can do so much. But anyway, so let's get rid of this stupid thing and actually write the code to make the tweet. One thing I noticed is they're passing an input encoding into this one, and I'm wondering if that's necessary. So I want to know what that object looks like. Oops. It's just like simple as UTF-8. And it looks like they're building this as like a command line or something. Oh, so it's like if your tweet has something non-textual and yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Let's put it anyway though. I still kind of want to test this. All right, let me put all that code back. Stupid thing. Why isn't that turning? That's why. So it looks like I do have some level of linting in Sublime for... Oh yeah, so I don't think using a Python IDE would have helped me with that problem, right? Because it was the fact that I was running it as Python 2. Because Sublime does some sort of text related stuff anyway. Okay, so it looks like that works. These should all be constants, by the way, but I'm too lazy. If I was going to make all my code super clean, but I'll do that later maybe. I'm not even sure if I really care that much about the Twitter bot, really, to be honest. I don't know if I'll actually follow through with it, because some of the things I'm going to have to do is, like, once I get this tweeting stuff set up, I'm going to have to get this running somewhere so that it does it every hour, and that's always a pain. I should probably use AWS for that, but I don't want to go through and set all that stuff up, so I think I'm just going to use a Pi and have it be a cron tab or something. Anyway, okay, so let's actually tweet. I don't even care about all that right now. It seems like, don't they need to know which account I'm trying to tweet? I'm guessing if that's what the consumer key and the consumer secret are for. Which means I'd need a new consumer secret key for that new account, which means I'm gonna have to go through the process of the API keys, and like I said, Twitter was like really locked down at that point. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I actually tweet. Cool, I did. I tweeted. I tweeted test. Let's delete that tweet. And now let's try tweeting our... You know what would be a really good idea for this is if we also got like a picture, a Christian picture to go along with the tweet. We could try that later. After we get the bot running, we could try boosting the engagement on the tweets somehow with like videos maybe. Like you could, if you really wanted to make this bot super realistic, you could find top Christian YouTube videos and post those every hour as well. And add pictures to all the tweets. Oh man, this is bad. Anyway, all right, let's post to my personal account some random thing. Here's my Twitter account, by the way, if you want to watch it, like actually do something. Why is that? Oh. What? Why is that throwing a key error? Oh. I have to return this as a string anyway. I wonder what it just tweeted. Nothing. That's good. It's kind of annoying. I hate that, man. Why is that happening? It's like definitely getting the verse metadata. This is bad, man. This wouldn't be so problematic if I hadn't ended the live stream and had to do all this. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm gonna have to debug this. Oh. The first one is working? Oh, duh. Okay, of course. Stupid. First of all, that needs commented out. Epic fail, bro. Alright, this should work. Cool. Let's see it. Haha. Yeah, dude. How do I... There's my tweet. Oh, it has my... It tells me where the tweet came from was my stupid app name from 3 years ago. I don't even remember why I got this API key. People are going to be like, what is a tag? Oh man, okay, so this definitely needs to be more polished if I'm going to actually launch it. Like, I need an account with its own API key. Oh man, that's going to suck. I'm going to have to wait like a week before they give me access again. Oh well. We could keep coding on this at least in the meantime. It should just be a matter of like ripping out these keys once I create the account and like add them into the code. So in the meantime, I'm gonna comment this out so I don't keep making stupid posts. But I will keep printing out the get verse just while I'm setting up the cron tab and everything. This is pretty good because it's like such short code. I don't even need to do any sort of software engineering on it. Like, I don't need to clean this code up or write unit tests or anything. Does this work? shoot. How do I scan? Does this thing have nmap? This might work. Let's try this before. No, dude. Which one of these is the pie? Maybe it's down. I should probably not do this on the live stream. Okay. Let me figure out what IP address my Pi is at. You're talking about Twitter? You're talking about the tweet, right? It should show like the entire thing. It should show that, I think. Let me know if it doesn't show up on yours. Okay. Oh, my Pi is down. Alright, I gotta go downstairs and fix my Pi. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you look at the actual tweet, it shows the metadata, which has like the like account that I'm using for the bot, right? Which when I created these API keys like 3 years ago, I had to give it a name, the app a name, and I just picked attack underscore underscore. I don't even remember what I was trying to do at the time. It was some school project that I needed API keys for. And so that's showing up in the tweet metadata. So I would imagine like if the bot gets some number of followers, eventually people are going to be like, what is this thing? Okay, I gotta go fix my Pi so that we can upload this code to it and run it on like a regular schedule. Yeah, attack, right? Is like what? That's true. That's even scarier because it's doing like religious stuff. That's not good. Yeah, so now I need to wait for that pie to come back. And hopefully it does. Otherwise I might be ending the stream. But anyway, the idea is like after we get the pie up and running, I can just copy this code onto the pie and then have it run every hour. You can set up cron tabs in Linux. And it will just run every hour and it will tweet. Or in this case, I'm just going to have it print out the verse that it would have tweeted. And then in the meantime, like, off of the live stream, I'll set up the account and keys and all that other stuff. Actually, I should delete that tweet first of all. And then hopefully we can have it running. But first my pie needs to, there it is. Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, so when I decided to build that Meet Edgar clone a while back, like I had to submit a request and then they had all these further questions like what am I going to use the API for and like what exactly is my app going to do and all these things, and then like a week later they finally approved the account, which I couldn't remember which account I had requested it on, so I just got lucky that these API keys were laying around on my old personal account. But I think, yeah, it's probably going to take like a week before I get the API keys for this. Especially like I would imagine they're going to put the account under even more scrutiny because it will be a new account and I'll probably name it something stupid like Christian's Gone Wild or something. I don't know. So they'll probably be even more skeptical about me requesting these API keys. Okay, so anyway, I got the pie back up and running. Let's test it. Or it should be up and running. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Yeah, cool. Okay. So now I'm in my pie, right? What happened? Oh, I got a new Twitter follower. Nice. Okay. Now I'm in my pie. And ignore the botnet. The idea is basically yeah, I'm going to copy this code into there, sans the pie cache. First of all, let's just get it running on the pie, like before we do anything else. So I really should put this in its own directory. Just thinking of a name for this project. I'm gonna name it Jesus Tweets. Okay, and now, that's not what I wanted to do. Actually, let's close that. Now, what am I trying to do? Brain's not working right now. So I've been live streaming for a long time. I didn't realize time goes very quickly when you're live streaming. I was telling the previous live stream audience that it's pretty fun though. I gotta admit, like coding with other people is chatting with you is much funner than just like coding by yourself. So I recommend if you have a YouTube channel to do live streaming. Okay, I need to do. I wonder if I could just do this. No, other way. Did that work? No, it didn't work. Okay, then fine. I'll just use the thing directly. Okay, now is that the name of it? Oh, what's the name of their library? No. The bot? Is that what you're asking about? Yeah, this, this live streaming is so sucky because I have to re-explain myself every time. I don't think I'm going to do any more live streams. They're just, there's too much context that's necessary. That's not what I wanted. I wanted pip3 that. Yeah, so the bot, so the general idea of the bot is there's this API that I found a while back. Where is that guy's API? Let me see if I can find his URL. Can you see that? Oh, this latency on this thing is so bad. Okay, anyway, eventually you'll see. I found this API and I wanted to basically build a Twitter bot that will take the Bible verses. What it's going to do is run every hour. It's going to generate a random Bible verse and then tweet it on an account. We've been testing it on my personal account for a while, but we're going to eventually create our own like Twitter account just for this. So my idea, that was my original idea, and then I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I was like, I want to kind of have like a religious competition on Twitter, if you will. So I kind of was thinking like taking the religious texts from every religion, creating a Twitter account for each of those, and doing this for all of them, right? So it just so happens the first one I'm going to do is Bible, because I just happen to find this API. So I'll do that, and then, you know, depending on how the engagement for that works, we'll take it even further. But so right now we've generated the verses, and I tested on my Twitter account. We've actually tweeted a random verse. I deleted it, right, because I don't necessarily want people to know I'm screwing around with this. And right now what we're doing is we're SCPing it onto my Raspberry Pi, where I'm going to eventually set up a cron tab and have it run every hour. So eventually it's going to run on like a regular Twitter account, like a Christian Twitter account. But right now it's running on my personal, and I'll probably keep testing that until the end of the stream, and then eventually create my own account, and then we'll like actually have this thing running. And then actually I was just thinking like all my followers could maybe follow the Christian bot or something. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, what? So this didn't work. Oh, pip3 install. So right now we've copied all the Python code over to the Pi, and I'm just like getting the dependencies. I think there's only one dependency, is this Twitter dependency, and testing it out, make sure that we can print out the verse. And if we can do that, then pretty sure we can also do the tweeting. And then I'll set up the cron tab after that, and then probably call it a day on the live stream, because I literally started from nothing on this particular live stream. So I've been doing it for a couple hours now. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh, that's not good. What happened? Did I comment out the printing? That's probably what I did. What? What's going on? Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. We're good, right? Because I switched this to return a string. Yeah, I switched that to return a string, so now we just need to print it. So, at my job, I shouldn't be talking about my job, I'll get in trouble. We have this thing called Ninja DevSync, and so we'll you can code on a server from your laptop, and it will propagate the changes. So it's super useful, but I wonder, there's probably something similar to that, that's open source. I'd have to look into that. I'm gonna Google that now, and then code syncing to server library. I don't know. Eventually, I'm guaranteed there's something like this already out there. So I'm gonna eventually look that up so that I can just do that from now on instead of having to SCP all my changes. Like right now, you can see I'm coding directly on the Pi, right? Which is not good, because now I've got this change on the Pi and this code over here, and they're now out of sync. It's very easy to get confused. Anyway, this is a small change, so I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, dude, check that out. There's our... Okay, I don't like that. The new lines are actually getting added. I would rather them just to be one. This project is so... It's like everything is so deep, but it's just... Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. I'll look into that. SSHFS. Let me look that up. Yeah, maybe that will be it. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. The thing that we have at work I like about is a daemon. So it's just constantly checking your diffs. So maybe this does the same thing. I'm sure. I'm positive there's tons of ways of doing it, but I just know how to do the one that I have at work, so I don't. This is part of the problem with working at a corporation, is you only know their internal tools, right? You don't know everyone else's open source versions of them, which is kind of unfortunate. But anyway, yes, I don't like that this is doing the new lines for the verses, but I almost feel like it's kind of okay, I guess. It adds to the seriousness of the verse, I think. I wonder what this looks like when you tweet it. Let's tweet it. Except the thing is I don't know which verse is going to get tweeted because it's random. So I can't even test the formatting. Well. Let's just tweet one. Let's do a test anyway, right? For Jesus would. I don't know, man. Jesus would probably post emojis. Let's see if let's just make sure we can tweet from the Raspberry Pi before I go and set up the cron tab. I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter where I run this code, but let's just be sure, because I've seen some weird stuff happen on Pi sometimes, especially this Pi. I'm using I'm running Ubuntu on the Pi, which is if you know anything about Pis, is not standard. Most of them are using Debian. They're using Raspbian or whatever. So I had to do a bunch of hacking to get Ubuntu running on this thing. So sometimes it doesn't really behave the way you would expect. All right, let's see if I have a new tweet. Oh yeah, I forgot to say to all the new viewers, there's my Twitter handle if you want to watch the tweets come through. Yeah, so we did. We got a new tweet, and it's still using that stupid attack thing, but oh well. Yeah, this one doesn't have any new lines, but this is so funny to me. The juxtaposition of like social media, modern, Twitter, and these old verses is such a funny thing to me. Okay, so we did the yeah. That's what I was thinking is like we could just rip out the new lines in the string if I really cared that much, but I almost kind of like it, but I could also see it maybe actually. So this is what I was saying earlier is like I Google a lot of stuff all the time because I feel like software engineering is mostly about thinking through the problems and less about the actual syntax, right? So I'll Google like some like really trivial things like how to do X in in Python or Java or whatever. I think the example I gave in the previous live stream was like, uh, my buddies at work were laughing at me because I was googling how to get the left side of a pair in Java because I Google like I don't think I just Google right. Um, but where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so one thing I think that we might actually run into problems is right. Twitter has the character limit, so if we get a verse that's larger than the Twitter character limit, I wonder what would happen. I would imagine the Twitter API is just going to throw an error back to us, which in this case is not the end of the world, right? Because all we're doing is tweeting. So we would miss 1 hour of tweets. And I would imagine like the number of verses is probably very small. That's something you could look up though. I wonder, actually, let's look that up. Nah, I'll do it later. But so there's some probability with which we're going to get these random verses and they're going to fail to tweet, which I think is kind of an interesting thing, right? But being a software engineer is about that, is what I was trying to say in the previous stream. It's more about thinking through these edge cases and catching them beforehand than it is about like, how to write a for loop or whatever, right? So you need to always be on the lookout for like how is your software going to fail and how are you going to handle that. Okay, so now though we've tweeted from our Pi and now we just need to set up the cron tab, which I'm probably going to end up looking up how to do that as well. I think it's this though. Oops. So you can see I've had some previous projects that I should have scrubbed my Pi before I did a live stream because now everyone's like knows that I'm a dirty botnet creator. Anyway, so all we need to do is what is this? Cron tab. This is every hour. So yeah, the one good thing about having previous projects with bots is you have previous cron tabs you can run. So if we cd, this is like exactly what I need to do. So if we go here, and then we do actually want to do, so just like pipe to some log, right? Just every time we do something, just like debugging your cron tabs, makes your debugging your cron tabs easier. So we need to run, was it bible.py? And we'll just run it every hour. One thing I like to do with these is like set the cron tab super short so I don't have to wait an hour to see that it's working. Because you'll find with cron tab is like you'll run into all these weird issues with syntax and all this other things. So it's like often a good idea to just run it every 30 seconds and then make sure that your script works fine in cron tab. Because you'll find weird things like permissions to files won't work or random things like that. I would imagine since I like left these cron tabs running though, they probably behave exactly as we would expect. Oh, this is wrong. But that should be everything we need to do to run this every hour. And what I'm going to do is... okay. Actually, let's just tweet on my account. I already sent a warning shot out to everybody. They should know that I'm doing this. Let's make sure that's the right directory. It is. Yeah, this should work, right? And then we should just monitor my Twitter account and see that I'm. So then let's drop the. How do I do that? What's the actual cron tab for like? Yeah, sure. This person's got every. Let's do every minute. my Twitter followers are gonna murder me. Oh, every minute's easy. You'll see what it is. Yeah. Let's be ready to turn this off ASAP. It's 5, right? 5 asterisks. Yep. Okay. Okay. I wonder what the limit on the Twitter API is. Okay, let's see what happens. We can like kind of see when the log shows up at the end of the minute, right? Because eventually we'll actually, let's make some better logging while we're fixing this. Let's get the verse and then tweet it and then print it out and then like for just for logging purposes. It should work, right? Yeah, and then we'll just tweet the verse. And that should work. Is there anything else we could? Yeah, let's log this as well. See if his API ever fails, basically. We don't need this anymore, right? See, this is the problem with like coding directly on the server that you're running, right? Because now my code is like totally out of whack. Eventually I'll probably just copy it back over when I do the commit though. Which, by the way, this is all on GitHub. So if you want to use it yourself or play around with it, like feel free. Okay, let's see if we have any logs yet. Yeah, sweet. Oh my god, how many have we posted? 3 already. Okay, we need to turn this off now. It's working. That's enough. So bad. Alright, let's do this every hour. And I'll just leave it running for a couple of days on my personal account, even though I don't want to. Yeah, none of these have had new lines so far, which kind of sucks, but oh well. Oh yeah, CD. I think the reason I did the CD is a while back. I don't know. So I've been doing a lot of weird stuff on this Pi. Like I used to do some cryptocurrency mining, and so I was often like running logs and then doing various operations on the logs for the miner. And I found that like it kind of goes back to the permissions thing, right? And I think my problem back then was I was using like the sudo cron tab because I needed the sudo for the mining process for some particular reason. And so if you do the seed, like if you put the absolute path might be different depending on the user of the cron tab, like which user the cron tab assumes when it runs the process, if that makes sense. And so you're more explicit about like where you're going effectively, I guess, in the path. For this particular case, I don't think it matters. I could have just used a direct one, but I just like made it, ever since that happened to me, because I spent way too long debugging that, ever since that happened to me, I was like, from now on, I'm just going to use CD and go directly there rather than using the absolute path. So I've had too many problems with like file permissions and things like that in the past, which is why I do it this way. But yeah, again, for this particular case, it doesn't matter. I wonder if, so I mentioned earlier in the live stream, I got a new follower. I wonder if that new follower is a Christian. Oh, no, it's a data scientist. Okay, never mind. But anyway, yeah, it looks like it's working. You could follow my personal account and keep tabs on our tweets. But so I think that might be everything I do for now. I'm just gonna like call the live stream a day, and then worry about like maybe tomorrow I might worry about setting up the account. Kennedy was saying that we should do some sort of like survey to see what we should name the Twitter accounts probably for each religion. We should probably do that. So yeah, I might tweet that out after the live stream ends and see what should we name the account, and then as soon as we have a name for the account, I'll go ahead and create it, and then it'll take a while to get the API keys. Yeah, I think that also was another reason why I was doing it that way too. It's been like, I think it was like 2 years ago when I was doing all this stuff. So I don't remember exactly why I was doing the CD stuff and then rather than the absolute path, but I know ever since then I've made a point, and everything's worked fine ever since I started doing it that way. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to change this. And to me, it's like not terrible, I guess, to add that extra command, to me at least. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So awesome. Yeah. I'm really glad to hear that. I should I keep doing the live stream? I'm not sure. Like, I was kind of complaining earlier that it's hard to live stream coding, especially project coding, because like you need all this context, right? Like when you joined, you were like more laid back. About like going, yeah, I'll figure it out, like whatever you end up doing. But I don't, like most people I would imagine when they join a live stream, they're like, what is this dude doing? Why, like, there's all this mountain of code. I don't know why he's coding what he's coding. I feel like you could live stream coding competitions because they're smaller problems. They don't take as much context. Even those, sometimes I think you can get lost in the weeds of the coding. But for these projects, it's hard to like live stream them, I think. But I don't know, if people were and are enjoying them, I'll keep doing them. But I probably won't. I don't know. We'll see. The content, the videos I've been putting out are better because they're more concise and they get cut right to the point rather than like trying to figure out what I'm doing, because I think those are also small too, right? They're very self-contained, so it's easy to follow along with like what I'm talking about, what I'm doing. Whereas an hour-long live stream, it's like what now he's on a Pi, I don't know, what is he doing on this Pi, why is he setting up a cron tab? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so that's everything. I think we're gonna call it because now we're tweeting. But I will upload this code to GitHub. It's already there, but I think, or maybe it's, oh, no. The flight detection algorithm stuff is on the GitHub. This isn't on the GitHub yet. So I'll upload all this code to GitHub without my API keys, of course. And that way you can play around with it, do whatever you want to it. And then next time, if we do a live stream next time, I don't know. My thinking was like, I'm working on these side projects all the time anyway, so I might as well just throw up a live stream, and if people want to watch it, then fine. If they don't, that's cool too. But it's also, I don't know, what I've noticed, it's funner for me as a programmer because I have people to like shoot the shit with while I'm doing it. So maybe I'll just keep doing it because it's fun for me, but not necessarily my audience. I noticed like some of my subscriber count went down as soon as I started live stream because people are probably like, oh, this guy, man, I would imagine, like, for me, if one of the people I follow on YouTube started live streaming, I might be like, I'm not with that at all. But it's fun for me, and that's kind of why I do the YouTube channel, anyways. It's fun for me anyway. So maybe it's like, who cares how many followers or viewers I'm getting, as long as I'm enjoying myself. Okay, that's it. Adios. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in.